Hey, friendo, Steve here.
Hey, Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw Count Out. Today we're going to look at, because we did this before already with WWE.
We did.
So I don't want anybody coming at us saying, oh, you guys are WWE sweaties. No, they got this treatment first. We're going to talk about, especially in light of Jade Cargill moving on to what she seemingly considers greener pastures if this does come to pass. Ball drops from AEW. Our WWE list dropped a couple weeks ago, or like a month ago or so.
Something like that.
So today we're going to take a look at, hey, wrestlers at AEW, no excuses. Should have done better on.
Way better.
Way better. Much
Way
better.
better.
Absolutely.
Much better.
Anyways, let's go ahead and kick this list off with number 10.
10.
Cody flipping Rhodes.
Hold on, though. Hold up.
What?
Like, he's a two-time TNT champ. He started the company.
Yeah.
Why is this a ball drop? I have the answer for that. Personally, why do you think Cody was a ball drop from AEW?
So this is probably, let me double check here. This is the one entry that it could probably be blamed on the actual talent, Larson.
It could. It could.
I think Cody kind of dropped the ball with Cody. He wrote himself out of the world title picture.
That was a huge mistake in hindsight.
Interestingly, early AEW wanted to not focus on the AEW, and it felt like the EVPs, Kenny, Cody, the Bucks, were trying to keep the focus on everybody else so as to not appear, I guess, like that there was a conflict of interest. Like, oh, we're in charge. We don't want, people are going to revolt against us if we're booking ourselves to the moon, when in fact, people just wanted to see the elite.
They did. I understand. They didn't want to seem like they were booking their own territory. This was a vanity project. They started this promotion with Tony Khan just to get themselves over. I understand that.
Right.
At the same time, it is all elite wrestling.
Yeah.
Their fan base followed them to this new company.
Mm-hmm.
And Cody at the time could make the case back in late 2018, early 2019 to be one of, if not the most over baby faces in all of wrestling. He was enormously over.
Yeah.
Obviously not as over as he is now, arguably, because he's a WWE, it's a larger platform. But still, astronomically over. And if he didn't want to win the AEW World Championship, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. I get the reasoning behind it. But to take himself out of title contention, full stop, within the first, year of the company's existence was a massive mistake, because there's so many storylines that he can't get involved in.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and I know seemingly he made it a point to elevate the TNT title to kind of be the 1B to the world title's 1A.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, he had two solid reigns with it.
Mm-hmm.
You had Brody Lee with the reign. You had Miro hold the title for a spell. You had Darby Allin. His first run was really good.
It was, yeah.
You know, and that period of the TNT title, you can make the case that it might not exactly been 1B to the 1A of the world title, but it was close. It was main eventing Dynamites. That belt
absolutely.
at the time was booked pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
But after Cody ended his second run, second. Do you have the TNT title 3 times? He did have the TNT title.
I think it was 3 times, because there was that weird bit with him and Sammy towards the end.
Sammy, exactly. After he dropped it the second time, he was just cast adrift. And as we put it, Cody Island, where he was in stories with, you know, Nightmare Academy, the Nightmare Academy crew.
Yeah.
It just seemed like it was a very small group of wrestlers that were invited to be in stories with him on Cody Island that existed apart from everything else that was going on in AEW. He didn't interact with the rest of the elite at all.
And I'll be honest with you, I don't know if the two things are as linked as you're kind of suggesting they are. It's entirely possible. I don't necessarily think that it was like mutually exclusive. I kind of feel like he could have written himself out of the title scene and still acted like he was a part of the company, right?
Yeah, totally.
And he tried to deal with the TNT title, but it seemed, and again, this is one of those things that I do believe when Cody writes, you know how like whenever presidential candidates write like a book before they run. If Cody gets into politics, he might write a book before then. He might. Cody seems like the guy to write a memoir anyways.
Yeah.
And I get the feeling that even though it'll probably be super diplomatic, he will probably spill some more on the Tony Khan or whatever issue he had in AEW. And I think he's even sort of spoke on this a little bit before. I wonder if the ball drop with Cody, there's two things. Number one, I do kind of think that his philosophy of what he wanted weekly television to be was different than what the rest of the elite and maybe even Tony Khan wanted it to be. I'm kind of curious what the dynamic actually was there, because it seemed like Cody might have been like next to Tony Khan for a lot of the time, but by the end, by the time he left, had sort of been squeezed out of the week-to-week creative. That's always been pure speculation on my part. We've only got little bits and pieces from Cody about that. But there's also one thing that you can look at in this entire list, at least for some of the names, is how they're used in WWE versus how they're being used in AEW. Now, you and I both think Jade, if she goes to WWE, is going to be used probably to her fullest potential, or at least that's the hope. And that was never the case in AEW. With Cody, I wonder if the reason why it's so different is because in WWE, his arrival was like the first AEW high profile guy to go there, and maybe the only member of the elite that will ever end up going there. We still don't know, but at least for the next couple of years, the elite's going to be wrapped up in AEW. Wouldn't shock me to see them be there long term, depending on how things pan out. But WWE took all the good stuff about Cody and they amplified that like to the highest degree. They kept the theme song. They gave him all the pyro. They immediately placed him in a high profile situation, winning 3 matches against Seth Rollins. They made him the man, and there was so much excitement about he's coming over from AEW. That's a big middle finger to them. And so he just got off on a really good foot, and he didn't have to be the man and the man behind the scenes. They just made him the man, and he didn't have to worry about the behind the scenes stuff because evidently his contract took care of that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, like, and he's at this point, I'm sure he has input on his own creative, but he's not responsible from a creative standpoint, I would think, outside of that, obviously. You know, and no EVP duties. And I don't know if there's something that would carry over to WWE, seeing that I don't know how he's viewed as, or whether he's viewed as a locker room leader or not. But in AEW, he was the guy, at least based on Rose to the Top, where if someone had an issue with something, they went to Cody.
Yeah.
So Cody seemed to be an intermediary between the locker room and Tony Khan in a lot of respects, based on a reality show.
And you got to also wonder, you also have to wonder how much of that he really wanted to do. Like, I think it seemed obvious that he felt a burden that, man, I'm building this company, but like, I really just kind of want to be focusing on Cody Rhodes right now, and I don't really want to do that. Or I don't
one
really
match that was really self-evident that he just wanted to focus on Cody Rhodes right now.
Yeah, it was a great match too. So anyways, Cody Rhodes. Let's go ahead and move on. We could be here all day talking about Cody Rhodes.
I know, this could be an hour-long show analyzing Cody Rhodes' departure from AEW. I know.
Let's talk about number 9.
9.
Awesome Kong. I had forgotten that Awesome Kong was in the company before I saw this list that you whipped up, Larson. And she is Awesome Kong is a force to be reckoned with. Have you seen any of her promos from her time in Japan? How she's just like cursing up a storm and being like
that
fucking
sounds amazing,
as genuine as can be. She's a badass and somebody that you would think would be like kind of a no-brainer. And she did not stick around for very long. So there's this quote here that you dug up from her interview with Chris Van Fleet. And she said, the thing is, I don't want to sound like I'm bashing the crew over at AEW, especially since we were just up and running. We were trying to give you something you hadn't seen. But I feel for me, I felt unheard. I wasn't in control. All I could do was say, hey, I have this idea of XYZ, and I couldn't get in the room where final decisions were made. And believe me, honey, Kia stalked that room. I would stay there after big meetings. I tried to get into the last meeting where the decisions were made. Never had a chance to. And after a while, I'm like, okay, so that's just not going to happen. So I'm not going to push it. Larson, this seems to be a continuing issue with a lot of the talent in AEW and a lot of the female talent there mainly, you know?
Yeah. It seemingly is the case. So back in May of 2019, Awesome Kong made her debut at Double or Nothing. Of course, she was involved in the Nightmare Collective story with her, Brandy, Luther, Mel, where they were going around and cutting hair off other talents. And then she stepped away to go film Glow.
Yeah, which she's great in.
She's awesome. And then just never appeared on AEW TV again.
Yeah.
Contract expired June 1st of 2021.
Yeah.
Made no effort to re-sign her, evidently, which is, there was a lot of excitement when she debuted at Double or Nothing in 2019 because Awesome Kong is great. If you watch her work at Impact, it's awesome.
It is.
And it was really disappointing when they almost immediately didn't seem to utilize her as best they could. I know the Nightmare Collective story was heavily criticized.
Yeah, sure.
And again, is a situation where you have Awesome Kong there. Just have her go out there and have matches and drop great promos, and it's not rocket science.
You have somebody.
You showcase her talents, and she'll get over.
She's so unique.
Yeah.
The presentation is off the charts.
Yeah.
You have her wreck people. It ain't difficult. You have her wreck people. How is she not like the first AEW women's champion?
I don't know.
No disrespect meant to Riho, but man, that's a mountain to climb,
Yeah, I know.
So yeah, that was a particularly surprising. I totally forgotten about her, but yeah, to think they had Awesome Kong in their ranks and they did not use her anywhere near to the way she should have been.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and move on. Number 8. Lio Rush, the man of the hour. Larson, I remember the first time I saw Lio Rush in his match against Ricochet. Oh, man. He is the kind of guy who, you watch him wrestle and you think, I didn't know wrestling could be that. AEW had him, and they lost him.
Yeah, he had a tumultuous tenure in WWE, left there, and, seemingly wrestled on and off in the indie circuit for a spell, and then kind of out of nowhere showed up in AEW. And I remember thinking, oh, this is awesome. Lio Rush is great. We thoroughly enjoyed his work in WWE. You go back to, you mentioned the PWG show we were at where he wrestled Ricochet, and that story told in that match was fantastic. Ricochet was the veteran.
Yeah.
Lio Rush, the rookie.
Yeah.
And Ricochet was just being super condescending to him.
Working heel
pretty much. It was a really good match. And it was like as mentioned, it's like, wow, I didn't know someone could wrestle this fast.
All the changing and movement and stuff reminded me of early
it's
Rey
watching
Mysterio,
or Rob Van Dam for the first time.
Yeah, right, exactly.
See someone in the ring that could potentially revolutionize how wrestling is done.
Mm-hmm, yeah, for sure.
With his speed, his quickness, the way he's putting stuff together, and when he showed up at Double or Nothing 2021, he was the Joker in the Battle Royal.
Mm-hmm.
We were super excited.
Yeah, right.
And he was getting involved on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
And then Big Swole, her contract expired. She on her podcast, very diplomatically levied some, and again in diplomatic fashion, some very legitimate criticism about her time at AEW. And the thing is overall she speaks glowingly of the company.
Yeah, she did. Yeah,
she really put the company over. Mentioned some issues that needed to be corrected.
Yeah,
and in response, Tony Khan didn't attempt to sit down and hear her out. He went to Twitter and blasted her.
Yeah, right. Said that I didn't think her wrestling was good enough, and which contradicted earlier statements of his. Yeah.
Yes, and so Lio Rush responded to Tony Khan, apologized.
Yeah.
And after that, Lio Rush never appeared in AEW again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Apparently, he and Tony did have a sit down, and I think Lio issued a statement after their meeting. But he was never on TV, and then a few months later, his contract expired, and he was a free agent.
Yeah, he ended up going to New Japan, where I think he's still there. I think he still does.
Yeah, he is.
Is he? Wait, this says Impact. Is he doing Impact stuff right now?
That's what it says. March 30th, 2023.
I'm on his Wikipedia page.
Same here.
Oh man, I should watch Impact once in a while. But yeah, no, just a phenomenal talent. And to think of the stories they could have told with guys like him, Darby Allin, like the that sort of size wrestler, the matches we could have got. Yeah, I was going to say Ray Phoenix as well, especially now that they're bringing it. You had El Hijo del Vikingo come in. You got Commander there. You got Bandito
Gravity, there. I know, yeah.
Yeah, oh, yeah, now and they got Gravity and, yeah. But yeah, a lot of stuff they could have done. And then you can do like the David and Goliath type stories as well, with that type of wrestler. And they could just be fantastic. But yeah, evidently that situation was too much. I mean, during his time in WWE, there were reports that there was some like backstage, attitude issues. He seems like the kind of guy, and this is not a knock, the kind of guy who understands how talented he is. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that kind of thing can rub people the wrong way, especially in an industry, I would think, like wrestling, where you got a bunch of old vets who are like, you got to do certain things a certain way, and you got to respect tradition and shake my hand and that kind of crap. And here comes a kid who knows what he's got. And Vince McMahon had him managing Lashley, and there was that brief moment where it was like, oh, are they gonna tell this story about how the fact that he's like a really good wrestler too, and they never really explored that.
No, he went back to NXT after that.
Yeah. So I can understand like the frustration there, but yeah, just a phenomenal talent. And if I thought that Big Swole situation was really disappointing.
It was
to see Tony Khan react that way. I thought it was a stain on his record. I really do. Regardless,
same here.
If you have disagreements with a wrestler, like you take the high road and you just shut up.
You think ideally that he would reach out, get in touch with her, and discuss those issues.
It felt like all the discussion was over at that point, though. And that's why I say if she's going to say something, the last thing you do is say, well, I got let go of her because she's a bad wrestler. Mm-hmm. Like that was tacky. It was tacky.
But yeah, I mean, if discussion from his end is over, then say nothing. Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's move on. Number 7. Malachi Black. Now you might be thinking, whoa, hold on a second, guys. Wait. Cool entrance. Awesome faction. Trios champion. Feature on TV quite a bit. What's the deal here? Listen,
he should be doing more.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, when this guy was in NXT with his cool entrance and that awesome song, he was without a doubt one of the biggest singles male stars they had ever had. It was not very long before he ended up being champion. WWE fumbled him. I think he was on our list. He had to have been on our list.
I imagine, yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on, I will check.
I imagine so too.
I think it was the entire NXT class from.
That's right. I put them all into one group. Yeah, exactly.
One conglomerated entry.
Well, he's the top one out of that. So yeah, like, how do you not make this guy into like a prominent solo star? And now I feel like he's got a little bit of work to do before, like, I'll believe that he's going to take that title, the main title, which is what it should be, or even the international title off of a Jon Moxley.
I know. And like when he debuted as a thing with Cody, and at that point, feuding with Cody was kind of, pardon me, still a deal.
Cody was the Dolph Ziggler at the time.
He was top gatekeeper in AEW, and Malachi squashed him, and that should have been that as far as the story with Cody Rhodes. Malachi. What?
Can you tell me the moment Malachi?
Oh, it was when Arn blocked the Black Mass. Yes, that's when it was done. That's when it was done. So, I mean, he should have been that short feud with Cody, beat him in 90 seconds, and then Cody's like, I'm not messing with this guy anymore.
Right.
And Malachi should have been, with that momentum, push.
Yeah.
And then but instead he was stuck on Cody Island for months. There was the block, Arn blocking the Black Mass with the damn forearm.
Yeah.
And then Malachi took an L to Cody. That was it.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
He like, from a creative standpoint, he could never recover from that. At one point, he asked for his release from AEW.
He did.
That's how frustrated he was there.
Yeah.
Especially after coming off the seemingly really frustrating experience at WWE. Come here, you got high hopes, I imagine, and you go there and it's kind of the same thing.
One of the things
deflating.
The one phrase that stands out the most from like his statement about that was like unfulfilled professionally unfulfilled promises. And he was talking about both AEW and WWE. Mm-hmm. And that sort of is him in a nutshell. Now, I think that he can dig his way out of that hole. Whether or not Tony Khan sees him in that light, I don't know. But man, this guy could have been like the guy at either WWE or AEW. Dude, it is mind-blowing that neither Vince nor Tony Khan saw him that way. And I'll be honest, I don't think this is one of those situations where it's like, oh, but you don't see what's going on. By every conceivable account, this guy is a professional backstage. There's an attention to detail he brings to his own creative that is like unmatched. And yeah, I think it's great that the House of Black are such a strong trio. They're such a strong group. But this dude really should be one of your main faces of the company in the singles division, wrecking people. He absolutely should.
Yeah, he should be. You watch his work in NXT and how the mystique was built up around Aleister Black in NXT. And you think, okay, this guy he's got Undertaker potential in him in that respect.
For sure. Yeah.
You know, and basically the moment he stepped foot on the main roster, Mystique gone. They added the creaking sound to his platform and elevated during his entrance. And you're like, all right, they made this corny now. It was cool. He was like a vampire rising up.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But now it's corny. And I just can't get behind it now because it's corny.
Nothing tickles me so much. This is one appearance, his very last appearance, which is like after a long time off, he shows up on SmackDown to randomly black mass Big E of all people, and then he
gets released.
He's never seen again. What happened to that one guy that gave Big E the black mass? He just vanished.
Remember they had those cool like animated motion comic things for his return?
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
they pumped a bunch of money into that.
Dark Father, whatever it was. Yeah. And then he shows up black. That was all just a build. That was all a build just hit Big E with this finish, and he leaves.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that hurts. All right. Anyways, let me gather myself here, Larson. You want to pay some bills?
Let's do it. Let's take a break here. Get a word from our sponsor, DraftKings Sportsbook. Hey, Steve.
Yes.
Football is back in full swing with another week of epic games. Woo. And who's got you covered on the action for every single one of them? DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. New customers can bet $5 on football and get $200 instantly in bonus bets.
And get this, Larson. Nobody is missing out on the action this season because that's right, all customers can take advantage of 2 new offers every game this September.
So get in on the NFL Week 2 action with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the app now and use code RAW to sign up. New customers can bet just $5 and take home $200 instantly in bonus bets only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code RAW. Crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort. 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/football. Terms for eligibility, terms and responsible gaming resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply.
And this episode of Going in Raw is sponsored by BetterHelp. Don't know if this happens to you, Steve. So let me know if it does. But for as long as I can remember, I've had a hard time quieting this brain of mine, getting it to be quiet while I'm trying to rest, while I'm trying to sleep. And it especially became a major problem when I was dealing with severe anxiety about 20 years ago or so.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure you know this now, Larson, but one way to quiet those racing thoughts is to talk your way through them. And therapy gives you an opportunity to do that so you can get out of those negative thought cycles and find some peace.
Yeah, back in my 20s when, as mentioned, my anxiety got really bad. Really bad. I made the realization that I had to go to therapy. And while it took me a couple tries to find someone I felt comfortable talking to, once I did, I was able to learn the tools I needed to better cope with my anxiety.
And if you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's completely online and designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited for your schedule. All you got to do to get started is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched up with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge.
So get a break from your thoughts with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/raw today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/raw.
All right, let's go ahead and move on with our list with number 6. Scorpio Sky. Now, you might be thinking, wait, wasn't this guy like the first AEW tag champion along with Kazarian?
That'd be correct.
SCU, yeah. Wasn't he TNT champion? I think 2 times, including one time when he turned that TNT title into that cool Lakers gold and purple.
Genie, he called it.
Genie, after Genie Buzz. Not enough. Now, what's weird about him is that like he took some time off because he had an injury, and then they brought him back, and he was prominently featured on the Collision advertisements. And they used him like once or twice or something.
Maybe twice. I think he had a promo and then maybe a match.
I think something like that. And then he hasn't really been seen since.
No, he hasn't. Not at all. Not at all. It's odd. You know, SCU, the group.
SCU.
Daniels, Kazarian, Scorpio Sky were super over, thanks to their being the elite stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Time in Ring of Honor. And when they all came to AEW, I don't know if they were necessarily everybody's first pick to be the first tag champs, but considering how over they were with this is the worst town I've ever been in type thing, not surprising, especially if the Young Bucks kind of disqualified themselves, that they would be the first champs.
Yeah.
And they didn't really, I don't know if they held the belts that long.
I don't know who this is, not to interrupt you, but like I was just looking at a cage match really quick to take a look at like what matches he's had. And I typed in Scorpio Sky, and before Scorpio Sky comes up, there's a wrestler named Fake Scorpio Sky. I don't know the story there, but I'm not going to click on it. Anyways, continue.
Interesting. Anyways, but after they dropped the tag titles, I don't know. There was the time with Dan Lambert's crew, him and Ethan Page, whereas like Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page, they're good talkers. Yeah, they don't need Dan Lambert doing their talking for them.
I thought that wasn't a terrible spot for them though, because they were a team. Yeah. And they had a prominent position. Yeah, Dan Lambert was there, boring us all. But, eventually they were giving like Page and Scorpio a little bit more mic time. They were featured. Fuck, what's even Ethan Page doing right now?
He's still with Matt Hardy. He's a party.
Just like lingering with him? Like what?
Yeah.
That's weird.
I mean, hell, you could put Ethan Page on this list. There's a lot of wrestlers you can put in this list because a lot of wrestlers came to AEW probably with the hope and the idea, hey, this is a place to give me an opportunity to be involved more in creative and get more of my ideas utilized.
Yeah.
And we've heard time and time again that it's hard to get your ideas up the ladder, up the chain of command so they get approved.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have a lot of people who are seemingly just kind of like, all right, well, I guess I'm sitting in catering today because I can't get my stuff on TV.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that's the situation with Scorpio Sky or not, because for a stretch he was really involved. But it was the situation where it's like he was in positions where it didn't seem to best necessarily showcase what he could do.
Yeah, right. Yeah, remember
he's
like
a good talker.
Remember,
yet he had Dan Lambert do most. Sorry, go ahead.
Like, no, I'm sorry. I keep on interrupting. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Towards the end of SCU, or like right after SCU, I think it's when they broke up. They aired like 2 vignettes for him where he's sort of out in the neighborhood or whatever, and he was like, "Oh yeah, it's gonna be it," and then they did nothing.
Didn't do anything.
They did nothing. Yeah. They put him with Page, and then he got injured. Wardlow got the title off him in July of 2022. He was gone for a whole year. Came back for the 4th episode of Collision, beat Action Andretti. There were several vignettes they ran for him. And then nothing since July 8th, except for the 0 Hour All Out Charity Battle Royale
he was
that they had. He was in that. But yeah, I don't get it, man, because like he was there at the beginning. Phenomenal athlete, phenomenal wrestler. Yeah. I was interested to see what they were going to do with like this new direction. And maybe it's a similar situation to like Awesome Kong, where he has a heart, which is it's kind of surprising because like you'd think he'd be close with like the elite, where he can't get he can't get in the door for like the decisions and he can't pitch stuff. I don't know what the hell it would be, but like, why have they not found anything for this guy for like literal years? We've been saying, man, he should probably. I remember people asking, hey, who's going to jump to WWE? I was like, it should be Scorpio Sky, because like he shouldn't be stuck in a trios. He should be like, you know, one of the. And at the time, WWE was hiring all sorts of old people. It was just before the 2.0 thing. And yeah, I don't know. Like, they got to do something. They have matching, you know, move for move with Action and Andretti, who's like 20 years younger than him and a phenomenal athlete. Like, he can still go.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So I don't know what the problem is.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. No idea.
It's weird.
It's confusing. Beguiling.
Fix it. Let's move on to number 5.
5.
Andrade El Idolo.
You know, there's that speculation that he got in a fight with Sammy Guevara to try to get himself fired. Remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that, yeah.
When he was, because apparently he wasn't happy.
Sort of his own ball drop right there. It's not the best way to go about things.
Probably not. Not. But, you know, again, from the very beginning, for his debut in AEW.
Oh, do you remember his debut?
Yeah, with Vicky.
You just hear her screeching voice, and then he just sort of like wanders out. It was honestly... It was like the most Lex Luger
it really
entrance,
was.
Yeah.
Because he didn't have entrance music, did he?
No, he didn't. He just sort of came out. Yeah, no entrance music for him. He just sort of walked out there. It was like, remember when Del Rio debuted for Impact and they had to re-debut him because like they put the wrong name up on the Tron?
They spelled his name wrong on the Tron, yeah.
Right, exactly. So like Andrade comes out and it's like, oh, man, that was underwhelming. Ugh.
Yeah.
You know.
I know. Yeah.
At least FTR had a truck.
They did. And then, you know, Andrade spent some time on Cody Island.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the match with the flaming table and stuff.
That was rad. Yeah.
That was
But
cool.
that was just sort of Cody going overboard on trying to get over with the fans.
Exactly.
Yeah. But it worked.
Oh, you're finally coming around to that idea.
No, I always knew that, but it was awesome.
Right.
Your contention is that wasn't awesome. My contention
I never said that. I never said it wasn't awesome. I just said he did it to get over.
Yeah, but you haven't specified that you thought it was awesome. You've never said that.
Oh, I never said it wasn't awesome.
Anyways, move on.
Andrade, again, he'll be on TV for... Oh, I know. Andrade will be on TV for 4 or 5 weeks and disappear. We just saw that. He was in a story recently with House of Black. They stole his mask. He got his mask back. Where's he been? Even Malachi was like, hey, I'm not done with you yet, Andrade. Yeah. They pivoted to a feud with the Acclaim to drop the Trios titles.
Yeah.
Where's Andrade been?
Correction. You are done with me.
I know.
Oh, no.
I say you're done with me.
How you know? Yeah, dude, I thought the mask thing... Dude, why didn't they do Malachi versus Andrade for, over the mask? They did Andrade versus Buddy. Like, where's the singles matches against Malachi?
I know.
It's crazy.
I know.
Like, that's a feud I'd watch all day long because those matches would be really good.
I know, but they deny us those matches because of creative ineptitude over there sometimes, Steve.
I know, man.
Times, honestly.
That's the truth. That's the truth.
Like there's matches that people want to see, people will pay money for. They're there, they're on the table, they're set up. Do they do them? No, and I don't know why.
Like really big builds and all that stuff. Yeah, exactly. Not big
like
build. Big builds.
Build.
Not big
and
build.
like the build to the ladder match was decent with Buddy, but even if Andrade gets the mask back, say that they do the ladder match against Buddy, Andrade gets the mask back. It seemed like they were set up like Malachi was like, all right, you got it back, but you still have to get through me.
No, dude, they did promos for that.
Yes. And then it never happens.
Wait, hold on. I have to go drop this trios title to the Acclaimed because right hand doesn't know what left hand is doing.
One moment, Andrade.
Can you just hold that thought? Wait. Hold on.
Here, can you sit at catering for 4 weeks while I drop the trios titles? Because
Because
that's what it feels like, and it's Andrade is not alone.
And they don't revisit. Like if you're gonna do that, if you're gonna detour, you got to get back on from the detour.
I know, and they don't do that over at AEW very often. We're going to talk about that in length later on with the number 2 entry.
Oh my goodness gracious, absolutely!
Because apparently the match for him is never going to happen.
Well, let's go ahead and move on to number 4 so we can get to that one.
4.
Number 4. Santana and Ortiz.
Like how come they weren't tag champions when they still wanted to be a team?
You know, that is one of the more. It's because and this is not an excuse. The tag division then was so loaded. It's like they had so many. They had like the Young Bucks, the Lucha Brothers,
FTR. I get all that.
FTR,
but this is Santana and Ortiz.
Yeah, no, they just made like a dominant tag team in Kenny and Hangman. And it's like, why did you do that? You have a bunch of tag teams already.
They got a ton of tag teams. Like, give Santana and Ortiz around with those belts. Come on, they're great. They great. Let me ask you this:
what? They don't like each other now.
Yeah, they're not winning any tag titles anytime soon, though.
No, they're not. Well, okay. Here's my thoughts on that, and I feel kind of bad publicizing this. Santana's going to find out pretty quickly that he's better off in a tag team, Larson. Hey, I ain't done a Wrestle Juice video for 8 days. You know why? I know where my bread is buttered. I'll get back to Wrestle Juice, but I'm just saying, if I want to make some money, I'm stuck with this guy over here. And I think Santana's going to figure that one out too, man. I think that he's going to figure out that they're going to get back together. But I wish him all the luck, and hopefully he finds happiness. But
yes.
LAX were a special team. Proud and Powerful, they're a special team.
They were.
And I get it. Dude wants to go a different direction in his career. Do you think, had they won the tag titles, would that have made a difference? Would they still?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think it would have made a bit of difference. But
so.
It would have made a lot of people. Didn't they have I thought they had either a tag title match, or they were building to a tag title match before one of the New York shows, and it was they're gonna win them there. And then they did not win them there.
No. I mean, they were constantly involved. Obviously, they were in the inner circle. They were involved in stuff.
Yeah.
But far too often it was in support of Chris Jericho, as opposed to doing their own thing.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And pursuing tag team gold. Instead, it was just, hey, we're a couple of Chris Jericho's dudes here, and so we'll back him up and not much else.
Yeah, right.
And I wonder if that alignment with Chris Jericho maybe kept them from maybe being more prominently featured in the tag division itself.
Sort of a damned if you do, damned if you don't, because you're with Jericho, who's a high profile guy. It's like, oh, cool, we're gonna be in a faction. We'll be the tag team of the faction. But then Jericho was like, hey, Sammy, let's go tag together. It's like, why are you doing that?
And that was actually a story for a week and a half, and then they dropped it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So yeah, it is kind of surprising that Tony Khan never was like, hey, we're going to New York. Let's go ahead and do it, and then
put titles on him.
Yeah,
do it.
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe it's for the best, because maybe Tony Khan saw the writing on the wall. He was like, these guys don't really like each other. He gets them in the office, and he's like, all right, XLAX, I got some good plans for you guys. Why are you not looking at each other?
Why are you sitting on opposite sides of the room?
What's with this awkward silence? Is that good for you? Do you guys want to talk about it? You don't want to talk about it at all. Okay. Maybe he saw the writing on the wall.
I mean, that's entirely possible. We're not there backstage in those conversations.
Mm-hmm. In those conversations. We're just like Awesome Kong. We're not in the room, Larson.
Yes.
All right. Let's go ahead and move on to number 3.
3.
Wardlow. I know that you and I had talked about how at Brawl Out, MJF, there was the contract issues. That was it all. Yeah, that was it all out. Wasn't it all out?
No, it was Double or
Nothing. Golly, Double or Nothing. It was in Vegas. So MJF wanted more of the money. Who could blame him? He was making $60,000 a year at the time. I'm joking. I don't know what his salary was. And so he staged a bit of a mini holdout type situation. Apparently leaked that he had a plane ticket going out somewhere or something like that.
Yeah, going back home or something like that.
Going back home, yeah. And so everybody was like, oh, is he going to show up for the Wardlow match? Because they had built Wardlow up for this big moment. And the match was just sort of paint by numbers MJF. You could tell he was sort of on the verge of pulling an Austin Aries in his last Impact match. And Wardlow gives him the Powerbomb Symphony. He gets the win. And then they put him in. And we had thought, oh, that kind of killed Wardlow. But I'll be honest with you, the lawsuit angle immediately following it.
What Yeah, the first Dynamite afterwards, he's in a storyline with Mark Sterling. You're like, no, they have no intention of really building this guy up.
And the promo when he said, I don't really want to go after the world title. I want to go get my shitty TNT title back. That killed him.
Yeah.
And Wardlow's world. Basically, he started doing everything he shouldn't have done after the MJF match.
Basically. I mean, he can't dictate what his storyline, so he couldn't dictate, you're going to have a lawsuit angle after you have what is supposed to be this huge match against MJF. Because, yes, the match against MJF was very kind of paint by numbers and formulaic, and it wasn't the huge moment that I think it was being built up to be for Wardlow.
Yeah, right.
It's like, here, I'm now, I can be my own man now here in AEW, and with that, it's off to go pursue championship gold.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Well, you start building on that. I mean, I thought at the time we talked about now that he's under AEW contract, record 0-0.
Yeah, right.
He's not working for MJF anymore. He's working for AEW. He starts over.
Yeah, yeah.
And you tell that story, building him up. Instead, lawsuit angle, pretty quickly going after the TNT title. And it just felt like at every step, rather than taking time to build him up, they were trying to be like, all right, we want him to be over with the crowd because we want him to maybe be the guy that takes this belt off MJF in a year whenever he wins it. So we got to build him up. And we got to do it quickly. And none of the quick fixes were effective in building him up. Quite the opposite, in fact, because look at him now.
Yeah,
He's not on TV. He hasn't been on TV for a while. They tried pairing him with Arn Anderson, which isn't a terrible idea.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Went nowhere.
Yeah.
I don't even know what's next for him. They've tried like 3 kind of small repackages over the last year and a half, and none of them have worked.
Yeah. So, yeah, you're right. Last time we saw him is when Luchasaurus and Christian defeated him for the title, and they started their terrific run. That was in the very first episode of Collision. That was 3 months ago. That was back in June.
Wow. It's been 3 months. Holy shit.
Yeah, it's been 3 months, and he hasn't been seen yet. Now, it's possible, I guess. Actually, I wanted to see. Hold on a second. I want to just given that Jade is where she's at. I'm kind of curious. Like, when did he debut for AEW? Okay.
Remember those vignettes that they ran? Where
Oh,
they
the
in
parking lot
That was
vignette, yeah.
That was like very early days of Dynamite.
It was really early. So, okay. Was this his first actual match? Was the steel cage match against Cody?
Yeah, because he was MJF's heavy before that.
Yeah, that's right. And he caught Cody when he leapt off the cage.
Yeah, did the moonsault off the cage. Yeah.
So, yeah, you're right. Early Dynamite would have been late 2019. It's possible. It's possible his contract might be coming up. I was surprised when we got when the Fightful report came in about Jade's, because I think we were just speculating on what her contract was like. Maybe Wardlow's like, you know what? Just gonna sit out for a little while and see how this contract thing plays out.
Could be.
That's just speculation on my part.
Yeah. I mean, going into Double or Nothing in his match against MJF, it seemed like, all right, because they built him up really effectively in that story. Really effectively. And you assume he's getting that win over MJF, and then the push is on. And it was, but every step was seemingly the wrong step.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And nothing hit. And people would cheer for the Powerbomb Symphony, and that was it.
Yeah. Yeah, he lost the TNT title at the Sacramento Dynamite. And then about 6 weeks later, won it right back. And then what is this? A couple of squash matches on Dynamite. And then he beats Christian in that ladder match at Double or Nothing. Then beats Hager on a random Dynamite 2 weeks later. And then 3 days after that, he loses to Luchasaurus. So, yeah, weird shit. I don't know what the deal with that is, man.
Weird.
People love Wardlow. He's a creative wrestler, too. He always adds new stuff to his arsenal. I like it. Yeah. All right, let's move on to, I know we're chomping at the bit to get this one. Number 2. Keith Lee. Yeah, that about describes it.
We're coming up on a year when Swerve and Our Glory broke up.
Oh my God. I thought you were going to say when he debuted in AEW.
No, November of last year is when Swerve and Our Glory broke up.
Wow.
Not one singles match. I mean, that's just kind of emblematic of how little Keith Lee has been used since showing up and coming to AEW. He had his first match against Isaiah Cassidy, I believe, in a qualifier for was it the Owen tournament?
Face of the Revolution qualifier.
Face the Revolution qualifier. Thank you. And like the time with Swerve, the tag team was great. There was always that tension that they're together as long as they win. They made us all those allusions to Shaq and Kobe, and it was some good stuff. But ever since Swerve and Our Glory broke up, he's barely on TV.
Yeah.
They put him in another tag team with Dustin Rhodes, who they wrestle on Rampage more often than not.
Yeah.
And seemingly they're never going to do the Swerve Keith Lee match, and I don't know why. Is it a situation where they're like, we don't want either one of them to lose, so let's just not do the match? You know what? There's creative ways around that. You could tell stories, in a creative fashion. So guess what? Someone could take an L but still come out of it looking really good.
So there was a period of time when I thought that, like, okay, because I know Keith Lee had been very open about like his illness. I think he was dealing with COVID, I think.
Yeah.
And that led to some complications. And I had the thought just maybe this wasn't a creative thing. It was trying to protect his health by limiting a little bit, his in-ring stuff. But I don't know. You don't do an angle where like a dude crushes a cement cinder block on another guy if you're not going to follow up with it. And then they had the bit where like the Lethal Lottery thing where they were thrown together and then they didn't do anything with it.
Nope.
And now I'm just thinking, do these guys hate each other for reals and they don't want to work with each other? I just think it's, I don't know, uninspired creative. I don't know what the issue could possibly be. It's crazy.
His creative ineptitude is what it is.
That's what I sort of think it is. Like, I'm always willing to give the benefit of the doubt. Like, okay, there's stuff that I'm not aware of. Fine. I get it. I'm not going to give it too much shit. But there's too many things to show that, like, they could totally do this match. I don't.
Yeah,
I
they
don't,
should. It makes sense. It's the storyline that coming right out of the breakup of the team. If you take 3 months to tell the story of them feuding, you could structure it in a way where they both look like main event guys coming out of it.
Yeah, no, it's weird. It's really weird.
This is another entry, right? We could probably go on an hour about why this is a massive ball drop and what they did with Keith Lee. What they haven't been doing with Keith Lee.
I'll just punctuate it with this. And honestly, I think so much of it is just really the worst. Like Keith Lee is probably more than anybody victim to just really bad timing. Because if you remember the last image of him in NXT but he was their double champ. Had the North American and the main title, and then he gets called up right out of that. Instead of using him to build up NXT, he's the face of the brand, which everybody knew he could be. He had those amazing spots during like the Rumble and a Survivor Series with Brock and Roman.
Yeah.
And it was like, this right here is the future of WWE. Everybody believed it.
Yeah. He beat Randy in his first pay-per-view match pretty handily and pretty quickly.
And then you get Bearcat. And it's like, what? Why? Okay, is this his thing? Was he into the... But no, apparently he does not. He did not want to be Bearcat.
It was a Vince thing.
And then he ends up getting released. And then AEW is like, oh, wow, okay, they're going to know what to do with him. And it's like, how do you drop a ball that big? That's huge. That's so crazy. And you put him in a tag team. That's when they put him in a tag team. That's when I was like, oh, is he still like maybe if he's in a tag team, he doesn't have to carry an entire match. Dustin's reliable. Like maybe it's just protecting his health, but it doesn't seem like that. At this point,
he was just on Collision saying that he's there. He's going to do solo stuff. And
so
he made allusion to Swerve during that promo.
Yeah,
he said someone's avoiding me.
And that's why I was wondering, AEW, they do. And again, this is all speculation, and it's just us sort of, when you can't wrap your head around why a guy isn't being used on TV, then you start looking for answers.
Yeah.
And in AEW, they do like that, like people take shots at each other. There was a guy named CM Punk who would do that shit all the time.
All the time.
And I'm like, is Keith Lee just throwing shade, like for real, at Swerve? And Swerve's like, I don't want to have a match against you.
Don't know.
Wow, that'd be weird, though, right? That'd be weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. The whole situation is weird, Larson.
I
Doesn't
know,
add
I
up.
know, it is weird. It doesn't add up. Yeah, it is weird. It is strange.
Doesn't add up. All right, let's go ahead and move on to number one. Jade Cargill. I was so excited when I saw your list because I was pushing you. I was pressuring you earlier on the show that we shot today.
Yeah.
Not
AEW
Saturday.
recap. Yeah.
Thursday. And I was like, Jade Cargill should be pretty high on the list.
And what did I tell you?
I didn't realize that you would make her the highest, but you did, and I appreciate it because she belongs here.
Absolutely, and just about anybody on the AEW roster, she had the most potential to be a massive mainstream crossover superstar.
You got that right.
And the fact that Tony Khan didn't utilize her to her fullest potential. And I know people say, well, she was undefeated up until the Statlander loss, and she had the TBS title for, about a year or whatever. Look at the stories she was involved in.
Right, yeah.
Name more than maybe one that's memorable.
The only one I remember is Nyla Rose stealing the title because Nyla Rose is really entertaining.
Well, I remember the Taya one where you can't use my finisher one.
Yeah, that's silly.
That's kind of the only two I remember.
Yeah.
Most of those wins were 90 seconds, 2 minutes. Here's the thing. We know Jade's dominant.
Yeah, right.
Get her involved in stories. And that's why I like the Nyla one. That's why I kind of like the Taya one. The few stories she was involved in where she seemed a bit vulnerable and had to overcome odds and obstacles.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Even if she is a heel, I want to see her with her back against the wall have to fight to hold on to her title or her winning streak, whatever the case was. But so many of her matches were just completely devoid of drama because you knew the outcome.
Yeah.
And so when you go into, regardless if you're winning 60, 70, 80, 100, 90 matches in a row, if you know the outcome, there's not a whole lot of benefit really to you other than padding your stats. But this is a choreographed sport.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah.
You can try to kayfabe meaning in these numbers, but ultimately they're there for storyline purposes. They don't mean anything in terms of actual competition.
Yeah.
So it's about the drama. It's about the stories being told.
Yeah.
And if Tony Khan never found any sort of consistent way to tell stories with Jade that would elevate her. In his mind, is like, well, she'll just win a bunch and she'll be elevated. You got to be involved in interesting stories. Pro wrestling's a storytelling medium.
Yeah, you got to do stuff with it. Yeah, you got to do, like, Goldberg sort of meant nothing until like they finally got him involved, and it's like, oh, he's actually going to be winning the U.S. title. That's cool, and he's going to be mixing it up with people. And I'm not using Goldberg as sort of like, you know, the prototype for, you know, storytelling or anything, but you know, I wonder if like Tony Khan maybe, you know, was like, hey man, we got to have our Goldbergs. We got to, you know, Jade Cargill, she's our Goldberg. And then Wardlow, he's our Goldberg. And then he's like, all right, so we got them going. That's great. Okay. So we're just going to go ahead and steal from the Goldberg blueprint. How did Goldberg eventually, what happened with him? What? Cattle prod. Oh, shit. That doesn't make any sense. I can't do that. No. And so he just doesn't have it. He's just like, I don't know what to do now.
So they'll just win and win and win and win. And then if it's not working, then they'll lose. And then we'll go back to the drawing board. But
I mean,
like,
that's when you, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, even with Jade, like, they put her with Mark Sterling.
Oh, the worst.
Why?
Yeah, the worst.
Like, I thought when she was aligned with Stokely, I thought that was promising.
That was cool, yeah.
But that lasted, what, a month and a half? But just the having Sterling be her manager, no, let her stand on her own.
Yeah.
Let her stand on her own.
Yeah.
It just, you know, like, and I actually did like a lot of the stuff with Kiera Hogan and Layla and Red Velvet.
I thought the ongoing saga of the baddies, I thought was actually pretty solid. I did.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think that she's going to get a tremendous response in WWE, and that's why I really hope, you know, if she goes to NXT first, I feel like her main roster debut is going to be a little watered down. If you just have her go to main roster, debut her the same way, in a similar fashion to how Cody was debuted. Yeah. That's a start. Can you imagine if Cody went to NXT first? That's no, man.
Yeah, you go up the main roster, debut there would fall a little flat. No.
Like, look, no offense. Chris Statlander is a terrific wrestler. If you get your hands on Chris Statlander, she can go to NXT. But Jade Cargill, nah, man. Nah.
No.
Fox. Not even cable. Network.
Yeah, network TV. Right to the top. Top of the card.
Top of the card.
She's going to be a massive superstar, assuming WB books her correctly.
And assuming they give her the right name, which is Jade Powers.
Well, Jade Cargill should stay Jade Cargill.
Jade Powers. And then, like, you could use the booming voice and describes her on the way to the ring. Look at her. Magnificent.
Isn't that essentially Eva Marie's deal?
Right, yeah. But instead of the booming voice, you have Vince's voice. God damn it.
Look at her. Idea. What a horrendous idea that is.
That was a terrible idea.
Horrendous.
Hey, I still maintain that one yearly uncensored pay-per-view with Vince and Jesse Ventura is a great idea at commentary. God damn it.
It'd be an absolute train wreck is what it would be.
What the fuck is Gallows doing in there?
I mean, if it's there for one match to make fun of Gallows, then maybe that's worth it. We'll see. Probably not, but maybe.
How about a pay-per-view that's just meant to troll Vince? And he gets to sit at commentary? God damn it. Anyways, that's going to do it for the show. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it. Till next time, we'll see you around.
Goodbye.